Never in all my days did I think that I would make it to this point. It's appropriate that I'm wearing my Cedar Point shirt because I feel as if this entire journey has been one long roller coaster. Terrible puns aside, it really is incredible that I'm on day 90. I began to notice that sugar was a problem in my life when I was about 20, 21, when I first got to college and experienced that, first initial moment of freedom that we all have experienced, of those of us that have been to college. And I just kind of, ate whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. And after a while, I was like, man, well, first of all, I don't like what I'm seeing down in my stomach. I don't like the expansion here. Second of all, I feel like there isn't a single day that goes by where I don't eat sugar, which is kind of a laughable thought for me to think now because I feel like I sort of developed a tolerance in that sense. In that up until 3 years ago, if I didn't go a day without sugar, it was kind of boring. Like it kind of bothered me. Like, oh, I haven't had something sugary today. Like that's kind of weird because sugar is such an integral part of my system that for me to go even 24 hours without something sugary is like there's some part of my day that's missing. So the fact that I have gone 90 days without any piece of candy, without any slice of cake, without any slice of pumpkin pie, without any can of soda, without any kind of sugary treat whatsoever, without any ketchup, at least as soon as I included condiments into the hard nose, without any kind of salad dressing. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, I cannot believe that I'm at this point. And I'm not even really trying to say, like, yay, me. I mean, as I've said many, many times before, if it wasn't for you guys, I would not have made it even a day, or even like a couple days, or even a week. I wouldn't have made it if it hadn't been for your guys' support. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I truly, truly appreciate it. Probably the benefit that has showed itself most obvious at the 3 month point, and specifically, is the return of motivation. Now, I have mentioned this in previous videos before, but I feel as if it has returned in full. By that, I mean, and I don't mean motivation like, when you're in the gym and you're like, oh, I gotta pump out one more set. That's not the kind of motivation I mean. I mean like the motivation just to do things. Like, I mean, I'm a pretty artistic guy, or at least I like to be artistic. We know whether or not I'm actually any good is up to the eye of the beholder. But I have felt the urge ever since I gave up sugar to get back into drawing and to get back into composing music and to get back into other creative endeavors. And I have not felt that in years. Ever since I had sort of the initial discovery of drawing, I have not, or the discovery of music composition or music technology, which is kind of my newest hobby. I have not felt like the urge to want to do it and also to get better at it in many many years. So it's just really it's really incredible. The the dopamine that my brain is producing as of right now, due to the absence of sugar, is something that I will not ever take for granted. And I think, as a quick side note, I might have gotten the science of dopamine wrong. Uh, I think dopamine is a reward chemical, but it mostly has to do with anticipation. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it has anything to do with something that is released after the fact. I think it is something that is released before the fact. Like you see a delicious plate of food, your brain releases dopamine. You see an unopened video game, your brain releases dopamine. You walk into a movie theater, your brain releases dopamine. So I think it's the anticipation award. So the return of dopamine in my brain, I'm not saying it was completely absent, but the return of most of it means that um, I am beginning to anticipate rewards in things that I used to find kind of boring. Like working towards being a better artist, working towards being better at Logic Pro, working towards being a better composer, working towards being a better human, working towards being a better teacher, being a better this, whatever. Like motivation for certain things that are very wholesome and healthy, in which I had no interest for, are beginning to return, which is just a wonderful blessing. And again, something that I'm going to try not to take for granted. All the benefits that I mentioned in previous videos are still here for the most part. Better sleep, better focus, better blood pressure, better blood circulation. I think that's all still here. And one other benefit that I've noticed is that I'm able to show up as a more enthusiastic, happier person, specifically in the context of conversations. Whenever I'm talking with someone with whom I enjoy, I, get energized and I get kind of excited and I, start joking around and I, want to have some fun. But I noticed that when I was on sugar, sometimes I would actually be annoyed at their presence, or I would be annoyed that I would have to talk to them, even though I could definitely fake my way through not being annoyed. But I feel like when in these 3 months that I've been off of sugar, it's almost like it's almost the equivalent of me being on sugar while drinking caffeine. So what I mean by that is when I have been eating sugar, I feel kind of sluggish and lethargic, and I don't really feel like interacting with people. But when I drink caffeine, I kind of kick into that mode of being energized and wanting to be more so myself, at least for the time being. Now that I am off of sugar, it's as if I'm in that mode without caffeine. So my default self is one that is enthusiastic and kind of more fun and more conversational around people, as opposed to needing some kind of artificial substance to bring me up to that point. And I think that also ties back to the dopamine receptors in my brain healing, is that I experience more motivation and I anticipate more reward when talking to people than I used to. So even when I'm in their conversation, I'm just happier to be talking with them because I anticipate a greater outcome, a more pleasant outcome than if I had been eating sugar, if that makes any sense. Do I still have cravings? Yes. Do I still feel like I'm missing out? Kind of. There's another benefit that a lot of people do not mention when it comes to abstaining from sugar, and that is feeling good about yourself. Not physically, but emotionally. There's something about coming to the end of a day and just knowing that you haven't abused your body, you haven't put garbage into your system, you've put the right amount, or you put the right quality of gas in your car, so to speak. There's just something that feels nice about that. Like you feel at ease with yourself, you feel proud of yourself. And a lot of people don't talk about that when it comes to health. I mean, they definitely talk about feeling proud of themselves when they've lost weight and when they've been working out. But when it comes to diet, a lot of people don't talk about the fact that if you treat your body well with the right foods, that can create this kind of this feeling of being at ease, peaceful, right? Knowing that you have done what is right, for lack of a better word. You have treated your body well. You have taken care of yourself. There's something that's very nice about that. So even when I'm at a more social setting, and this past weekend I was at a very social setting with all kinds of treats all around me, but even if I resist, I kind of feel like I'm missing out on the fun. But at the same time, an absence of sugar makes the event itself the fun. It doesn't always have to be about the food, the event itself, the people who you're with, the context of the people that you're with. That can be the fun just as much as the food. So there's a kind of a strange liberation in that, even though, and I don't want to sugarcoat it too much, no pun intended, that you do still have those cravings. I mean, when you see this absolutely gorgeous chocolate cake, I feel like it might be many more months, maybe even a full year before I have no reaction to it, before I fully understand all of the non-benefits of eating it, and before I fully integrate into my mind that I do not want to eat sugar. But I'm not there yet. But we'll see. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your continuous support. I cannot believe that I'm here again. And before I know it, it'll be another 3 months, and I'll be halfway there. Thank you again. Thank you again. And stay tuned for more updates.